Welcome to our virtual series. My name is Jennifer Coles and I'm the Community Sales Advisor and here at Rivermead. And also on this call is Jeremy Blydenberg-Cody, who is our Sales and Marketing Administrator. I just want to just say that we're pleased to be able to provide you with some valuable content as you are considering a move to Rivermead or a future plan. And we all know that having good information is power. And it's smart to put together a plan ahead of time, and it's never too soon to start planning. So congratulations, all of you, for being here today to learn some valuable information. You'll see on our website that we've covered several topics virtually. Things about downsizing. We have our estate planning, and overview of Rivermead, some topics related to Alzheimer's disease, topics related to assisted living and a move to assisted living. So there's a lot of content on our website under our recorded event section. So if you haven't had a chance to see any of those, please take a look. Today's presentation will be recorded so people can review it later. And if there's any topics that you're interested in that we haven't covered, please let us know. We're looking to do more of these virtual series and get information out to you all. So next up, I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Sadie Halliday. Sadie represents the Halliday Real Estate Group. That's a Monadnock Region real estate group, and her office is located in Peterborough, New Hampshire. And she's here to give us some insider tips on selling in this current real estate market. So I'm going to pass this on over to Sadie and let her present for you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate the introduction. It's nice to see some familiar faces on here. If anybody has any questions at any point, please just jump in and let me know. You can either unmute yourself or type it into the chat. I'd love to have this interactive. So if there's anything that I'm going through that doesn't make sense or you want further clarification on, I'm happy to engage so that it's not just me talking at you for the time that we're together. Any questions so far? All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Can everybody see that okay? Okay. So this picture we actually just got back. It's a listing that we're going to be putting on in Dublin coming soon, but this is a picture from essentially up near Dublin Lake, looking back at the center of Dublin. That's 101 going down through in the mountain range in the background. So one of the reasons I think that I love working in this area so much is that it's beautiful. We have a lot of beautiful real estate, but we also have a lot of beautiful land and property, and I feel really fortunate to work in this area. A little bit about me, just a quick bio. I started selling residential real estate about 8 years ago, worked primarily in the Monadnock region, and I have had the privilege of growing a team of people that I work with. So we do Monadnock region, Keene, Southern New Hampshire, Hillsborough, and Cheshire County. So this is the group of professionals that I get to work with. And we represent a lot of different properties. We do waterfront, we do new construction, estate type properties. So there's a lot of different things that we can do. And again, it's getting to know people and figuring out how to help them get from point A to point B is what is so exciting for me. I just had a closing about an hour ago, and it was a couple that had lived in the same house for 50 years, and they had downsized to a condo. So we found a condo that they liked, but that process, I worked with them for about 14 months from start to finish. And when they, thought about starting to make the move, there was a significant amount of work that needed to happen between cleanup, between planning, between finding where they were going to go. And what we did is we started to line up, did they need a dumpster? Do they need places to donate things? Do they need house cleaners? Do they need Again, it was staging. It ran the gamut, but it took us about 14 months to get through the entire process, and they just closed today. And one thing I always tell people too is to be gentle with yourself in the process, because you're coming from a home probably where you have a significant amount of memories and you've lived a lot of life there. And those transitions can be challenging, and they can be emotional, and they can also be very exciting. So we're here to shepherd you through that process from start to finish. I want to talk a little bit about the current market, not only in Peterborough, but in Cheshire County and Hillsborough County, just our current area. The average sale price right now is about $525,000. And that runs the gamut from, we have properties in the area that are 200,000 and some that are 3 million, but that average is the 525. Average days on market is about 25. Right now it's considered to be a seller's market because there's not enough inventory. So buyers are having to find themselves in very competitive situations. And you'll see that days on market will fluctuate based on whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. And right now, if we just focus on Peterborough, there's 23 houses on the market. And that's new construction, that's condos, that's single family homes. In order to meet that demand, we would need to have a much greater number for that current inventory. And I also included some information here, Cheshire County and Hillsborough County. In Hillsborough County tends to be a little bit different because you're encompassing Manchester and Nashua in there. So those numbers are a lot bigger at the 915. But if we just focus on Peterborough and the Monadnock region, those numbers are much smaller. Any questions? Okay. So why does everybody want to come to New Hampshire? Why is our housing market hot right now? So we talked about low inventory. The other thing that we're seeing is that people love being in the Monadnock region. There's a number of reasons that they love to be here. And I'll cover that in a little bit. But the other thing that we're seeing for the low inventory is that it's what is considered golden handcuffs. And what that means is that when interest rates dropped significantly lower, a lot of people refinance. So even people that may be considering buying a bigger house, they're not necessarily moving at this point because they locked into an interest rate that's 2%, 3%. And they're feeling that they don't want to give up that rate and trade it for, one of the current interest rates that's 6 or 7% right now. So we're finding that people are staying put, and that's also contributing to the shortage right now of inventory on the market. And then, the reasons why people want to live here, which you all know, and why you're coming to Rivermead. It's the quality of life, the scenic surroundings, we have volunteer opportunities, we have a very vibrant arts culture, and it's probably all the reasons that you want to come to Rivermead, because you're in the heart of all of it in the Monadnock region. So in terms of the process for listing and what that looks like, I talked a little bit about the people that I had worked with just now, but one of the things that we always start with when we're thinking about selling a home, and this is true for anybody, is that people may look at their property and say, okay, what are those things that I want to do so that I get the maximum selling price of my property? And what we find is that people love, updated kitchens and bathrooms and things like that. But what we also find is that we don't want you to spend money right now that you're not going to be getting back out on the other side. So when we evaluate that with you, we look at it and say, does it make sense to do any of these renovations or does it not? And, a lot of times it doesn't make sense, but, sometimes it does. The other things that are important are having the home professionally clean. Those are all things that we can help you with. Interior design and staging. We have a professional stager that we work with. And what she does is she actually comes in. We do that as a consultation. And those are all services that are available for people, even as you start to think about downsizing. If you're not ready to sell yet, she's somebody that can actually come in and work with you on that. And that's been incredibly helpful for people. Professional photography is critical for getting your home sold. the floor plans and virtual marketing, and then just making sure we get to that global market for you. So in terms of thinking about this is a marketing timeline, but in terms of all the things that you want to be doing to be thinking about your house, it's really the second stage that I want to focus on. So I talked a little bit about the repairs and upgrades, and those are little things that we find that, is there a crack in the ceiling that could use some drywall and a fresh coat of paint? And what we find is that when a potential buyer is coming into a property, when they might see blemishes on a property or things like that, that's going to cause them to look a little bit more and say, hey, what else might be wrong here? So when we help you to go through everything and put your best foot forward, that's going to make a big difference for the potential buyers coming into your property. So we're going to make sure that things have a fresh coat of paint is really important. Having light bulbs that are functional are really important. Taking away any clutter that you might have. If you have a collection of trinkets that's really important to you, we might find a place to box up those trinkets and put them away for just a little while your house is being sold. Because what will happen when we take all the photos is that people are going to zoom in on all the things as opposed to seeing the house itself. And you probably have all these really interesting things, but we want them to be able to see the house. We want them to be able to see, oh, would my dining room table fit there? Would my hutch fit on that wall? And the other thing that I think is really important when we do the staging is that for each room, staging it as the purpose that it was meant for. So for instance, if you have a home office, we would have that staged as an office. If you have a library, we'd have it staged as a library. Oftentimes somebody might have a puzzle and they're doing a puzzle on the dining room table, but instead of having the puzzle on the dining room table, it would make more sense to have it set up as a dining room, because then people start thinking, oh, do I do my puzzles? And we want to just have every room set up for the purpose that they're meant to be. And those are all things that come into the staging and the presentation. And those are all things that, more than happy to help with. And there are professionals available to help you with that. And then in terms of how your house is actually marketed and what that process looks like, there's a lot of pre-marketing material that comes out in terms of letting people know that it's coming, sending out mailings. The professional photography is critical. As adults, a lot of people have a very short attention span, and when they're looking at your property, they might be looking on their computer and they might flip through the first 4 or 5 photos. And what we want to do is we want to help you put your absolute best foot forward on that, because they're making those split-second decisions. And the goal is to help your house really catch their eye. So we're going to have a really nice, stunning cover photo, and then we're going to pick the 4 or 5 best photos of the house. And whether that's the living room or the kitchen, or if you have a fieldstone fireplace, or if you have a stunning view of Monadnock, the goal is to showcase your property in the best light possible so that we can help you maximize what you're walking away from with that property. And we really do it in tandem in terms of being a partner right through the process. And the other thing that's really important to know, I know that it can feel intimidating to have pictures of your home on the internet, strangers looking at. Part of it too is that you always have the opportunity, anytime you're working with a real estate professional, you always have the opportunity to preview the material that they're going to be putting out, to preview the photos that they're going to be putting out, so that you have a comfort level with all of that in the way that your home is being presented. So that's something that, I just want you to be aware of, that you really are in control of the process and what that looks like and how it's being presented. And the other thing too is that there's a lot of different ways to actually sell it. Some people are not comfortable with open houses and the concept of strangers coming through your home. One thing we do is we always have multiple people at an open house. So there's somebody at the front door, maybe there's somebody upstairs, so people aren't wandering through your house unattended. But the other thing we do, and it's for a lot of, estate type properties, is that we don't do open houses, because if we're thinking about somebody wanting to spend the money to purchase your home, we want to give them the opportunity to fully engage, to have their time in the home, to have a full hour to walk through it, and not be bombarded by, 20 other people at the same time. So it really comes down to the strategy that we think is best, and then also what you feel most comfortable with. Any questions from anyone? So we're gonna go right into the actual tips for getting ready to sell. And the biggest thing we want to do is we want to help you maximize that first impression. So from the time somebody pulls in to the front yard and has that very first impression, we want to start from there, right? So there's things that you're landscaping, mowing and edging, trimming your lawn, trimming the hedges. And if those are things that are too much for you to do, we actually have contractors that will come in and help you with that. There's a number of local companies that will come in, and I'll call them and say, hey, we're getting ready to list this property. The yard needs a little bit of TLC, or they need some help with this. And that can be simple as, mulching the beds, adding some annuals, maybe pruning your perennials. So those are all things that help with the exterior. The other aspect that we do is when we're taking all the photos, we don't have any cars in the driveway. The garage doors are closed. Those aerial photos are going to show your roof shingles. So we're going to make sure your roof appears in good condition. If you have, say you have a brick walkway and there's 3 or 4 bricks that have gotten loose because of frost heaves, or there might be a trip hazard, what we want to do is we'll have somebody come in and help out with that walkway to even it out so that everything is uniform and there's no crumbling. The inspect appearance of interior window coverings from the curb. So that's an interesting one, right? We always want to make sure that your curtains aren't cockeyed, but a lot of times what we'll do too is we'll actually just take the curtains right off. And one of the reasons that we tend to remove the curtains is that it allows a lot more natural light inside the house. And it can just help to feel that everything feel bigger and lighter. So don't be surprised if we actually just remove the curtains, and it feels uncomfortable sometimes, but it actually really helps with the photos. So on the outside of the house, sometimes window trim can get a little tired. And again, that's just paint, caulking, things like that. And then any insects, pests, or rodents. I know some people have a regular service that they have. Those are all things just to make sure they're up to date. So I know it sounds silly, but even things that if people see a lot of ants or if they see signs of mice, that can be a real red flag for people. So we want to make sure that we're just addressing that right at the beginning, so that when we actually go to the market and you have people looking at your house, we've removed that as any kind of objection. So buyers have idle time to notice, right? This is what they say when we're there, we're fiddling, we're going to open things up. Have the front door a nice fresh coat of paint. We always I spend a lot of time at the house by the side of the road, and we go and we get pots. I just did a photo shoot last week and we had a lot of fresh pansies everywhere. We're in that season where we're not quite ready for everything to be out, but there's a lot of really beautiful pansies, and that just adds a nice pop of color. A lot of times too, in doorways, you'll see cobwebs or dark, what like that is we'll just take a broom and get rid of all those cobwebs too. So the idea is really just putting your best foot forward and everything that we need to do to support you in that. So inside, when we start to talk about the inside, removing the clutter and then a thorough cleaning. And then also you'll find too is that maybe you have a dining room table and you have it set up to seat 12 and you have your hutch and you have some other furniture. What we might do is that point is take out some of the chairs so that it doesn't, we remove furniture to make the rooms appear bigger. And sometimes that can be challenging because you want to show how many people it can hold, but those photos will actually be better when you have less furniture in there. And I'm happy if anybody's interested, I can actually share some listing photos of a staged property. That way you can have a sense of all these things that I'm referring to, how we minimize the amount of furniture. We don't want it to look sparse. We don't want it to look bare, but we want people to be able to envision all of their things in that space. The other thing to keep in mind is that I know it's tempting to want to hide things in closets. That's our natural inclination, right? Somebody's coming, so you want to hide things. We've either hid things in closets or maybe in the dishwasher or the stove, but what's going to happen when people are coming to look at your home is that they're actually going to be probably opening your kitchen drawers to see, okay, are they soft close drawers? Are they dovetailed cabinets? So we don't want to hide very many things. It's okay to hide things here and there, but we can't hide everything. So the idea is that you want to probably take the contents of your closet, take out about half the stuff, make sure it's neatly organized, shoes are lined up, hangers are in order. Because again, when closets are stuffed filled with things, it may give a buyer the impression of not having enough storage space or not having a big enough closet. So we can minimize those objections ahead of time. And again, even with the drawers, I know we all have a junk drawer. I actually have two in my kitchen, and one is filled with batteries and screwdrivers and all those things that you don't need all the time, but you still need to have handy. So even, having a little organizer in your junk drawer, and I know that might seem excessive, but the more that we can present this neat, clean, organized property, the easier it's going to be for a potential buyer to see themselves there. So the other thing too is that, there are studies that show when things have more of a neutral palette, they tend to do a little bit better. If you are very creative and have a lot of really bold colors in your house, you don't need to repaint all of it, but I think we just figure out how to position that in the best possible light. And the other thing too is dripping faucets. It never ceases to amaze me how many times buyers are going through a house and they walk into the kitchen or the bathroom and they turn the faucet on and they turn the faucet off, and they do it in the bathroom and they do it in the kitchen, and it's just this sort of little test to see if they work, but they always notice if they're dripping, and that tends to be something that we might not think about in our own houses. Well, that faucet's had a drip for a little while, or that light bulb's burnt out, cracked window panes, cracked drywall, anything like that. All those little things that we sort of lose sight of in our day-to-day of living in our house, those are the things that a fresh set of eyes coming into your house for the first thing are going to see. So that's just the biggest thing I think we focus on, is making sure that any minor repairs are done and that everything is decluttered to the absolute best of your ability. And I know that all of that can feel super, super overwhelming. And that's why it's important that you have support in that, in terms of whether it be a handyman, a groundskeeper, all of those kind of things. And if you need help connecting with those people and the resources in the area, we can absolutely help you with that, so that you're not on your own trying to figure out who can I get to come help me with this. In terms of welcoming, you don't have to do the fresh baked cookies. Sometimes a candle helps. And then also fresh towels. We actually have in my office right now, I have stacks of white towels, and we put the fresh white towels, we put them in the bathrooms. And then what we'll do is we'll do that for all the photos. Because again, I have children at home, so I don't use white towels because they wouldn't stay white. It just doesn't make sense for me. But if I was going to be listing my home and selling it, I would definitely put some fresh white towels in there. And so the other question people have a lot is, how do you actually figure out the price of the property and what do I list at? And the first step is to do what's called a market analysis. And what that means is that we come to your home, we do a walkthrough of the property with you. And the market analysis is done by taking all the characteristics of your property. It's the acreage, it's the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the age of the home. And what we do with all that information is we start to look at properties that have similar characteristics to yours. We look at the price that it was listed at, we look at how long it was on the market for, and we look at the age, we look at all these things. Is it waterfront? Does it have a mountain view? And we try to find the absolute closest comps possible. Sometimes properties are so special that it's really challenging to find even one comparable sale, and we have to go further out. But the idea is that by finding as many comparable properties as possible, we can help figure out what that price looks like for your home. And that's really what the market analysis does. And then what we do with the market analysis is we sit down with you and we review that and we say, here are 5 properties that we came up with that we think are pretty similar to yours. And then that helps us to be strategic in how we price it. Because if there's, say you live in Jaffrey and there's 4 houses in Jaffrey, and 3 of them have been on the market for a long time and they're sitting and the days on market are really high and they're very similar to yours, well, one strategy might be like, let's price yours a little bit lower. Another strategy might be to think about, you know, how can we set yours apart from a marketing standpoint? So the idea is to position your home and the property in such a way that it gets the most attention. And again, because it has been a seller's market, it's been a great time to sell. We haven't seen a lot of that in terms of having to drop price or negotiate things like that. We've seen it really in a situation where we put a property on the market, there's a significant amount of interest. Oftentimes there's a bidding war, and then the property is quickly going under agreement. And what, from a strategy standpoint, we typically put new properties on the market on a Wednesday. And the reason for that is people see it on a Wednesday or Thursday, but we don't actually start those showings until Saturday. And the reason for that is to just try and generate some excitement about it. People are looking at the pictures online, they're getting excited to go in there and see it. And then what we would do is that weekend actually start showing the property. And then we went over a lot of the marketing that we do in terms of social media and Facebook. What's really interesting is there's a tool that we can use, and it's called migration mapping. So we can look at the town that you live in and we can say, so where are all the people that are moving to this town coming from? And then what we can do is we can do targeted social media marketing so that we're putting your house in all those places where we know that people are coming from. So that helps too. We do an ad in the newspaper every week where we put your home. We put it online to the multiple listing service, and what it does from there is it syndicates out to all the other websites that you see, like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com. And then the other thing we do is that this is a small region in the Monadnock region. So all of the realtors are pretty friendly with one another, and we all work together as co-workers because it doesn't matter what agency you work at, we're going to be working together to sell one another's property. So I think one thing we pride ourselves on this area is maintaining really good relationships with one another so that we can work together to get your property in front of all these other people who might have a buyer for it. And then once we get into that, we get into the negotiation point of it, because all the properties that are on, there's different characteristics, but every offer that you receive on your property is going to have some different characteristics too. You may have a cash offer, you may have somebody who's financing, you may have somebody who opts to do inspections, and somebody that opts to skip inspections altogether. And that's all part of sitting down with your realtor and evaluating what works best for you and how we negotiate the best possible price and the best possible terms to get you to the closing table on your property. Oh, somebody put reviews in here. We can skip right over that. So that's a quick run through of an overview of the process, and I just want to open it up in case anybody has any questions at this point.
Yeah, so Sadie, if someone is thinking about moving to Rivermead in the next few years or so, when do you think the right time is for them to reach out to you or a real estate agent to kind of start developing a plan of selling their home?
Yeah, I would say that's a great question. I would say a minimum of 12 to 18 months. And the reason for that is that that can give you time to find people if you need to make any necessary repairs. It will help you sort through things, right? Because you start to think about, you might have a lifetime of photo albums and artwork and all these things that you may not want to bring with you to Rivermead, or may not fit in your living space at Rivermead. So the idea is that you're not going to be rushed. You're not going to be working quickly to try and get this done. It can be more of a strategic approach in terms of, what do I need to do to be ready for Rivermead in 1 year? And then what you can do is create a plan and really backtrack into that. And whether that's, you know, getting your yard ready or getting your house ready, or even just getting your things ready. So I would say 12 to 18 months is a great time to start planning. And it's not ever too long to, even if it's 2 years out or 3 years out, you can still start to plan.
Thank you, Sadie.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have any other burning questions? If not, we'll just move on, but Sadie has her number here at the bottom of the screen and her email. So please reach out to her if there's something that you wanted to address. I'm sure she'd be happy to hear from you and get back to you. And Sadie, it's great to hear how much your organization will help people get ready. I could imagine that's pretty overwhelming for some people when they think about that they have to do landscaping and touch up painting. Like, it might be enough just for someone to say, no, I'm not going to do this. But,
yeah,
you know, it was encouraging that you said, no, we will help you. We'll find the right people. And that's really good.
Yeah.
And I loved your welcoming tips. The cinnamon, the cookies, and the white tiles. That's great.
Yeah. And I think the biggest piece of advice I have for people truly is to be gentle with yourself in the process, because it can be overwhelming and it can feel like so much, and you don't have to do it all in a day, and you don't have to do it all alone. And transitioning from a home that you've been in for a long time to something small and different is a lot. And just surround yourself with people who are going to help you get from point A to point B in a way that feels right for you.
Yeah, we offer a lot of advice and resources with downsizing as well. So
yeah,
that's another one of my mantras. Don't get stuck with your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and share our screen for our next little topic here. Can everyone see that okay? Nope. This one? Oh boy, got that? Yeah, okay. So now that you've heard about downsizing, now that you've heard about the Rivermead overview and what our Type A life care contract includes, you've heard about the importance of estate planning, you've gotten some great tips to sell your house, and hopefully you've learned a lot about the Rivermead community through this process, and you're now ready to come and choose your floor plan. So we have a wonderful event planned. This is an in-person event on Friday, May 10th at 2 p.m. It's our tour of homes. This is where our residents open up their homes. They give tours of our community and their homes. They share their own tips about downsizing and about sneaky storage and how to place furniture and how to make your floor plan work. And you get to hear it from them. They are the experts. They're the ones that live here, and they're proud of their homes, and they love showing them, and they love sharing with you all their journey here. One of the homes that will be available is a Highlander style apartment. This is a 2-bedroom with den, recently remodeled, brand new kitchen, brand new bathrooms. It has an open concept living room. As you can see from this picture, we have it staged, virtually staged. This apartment will go quickly. We've had a lot of interest in it, just nobody's been that lucky person yet, but I'm sure after people see it on May 10th, we'll have some people interested. It is on the ground floor, which means it's a walkout right to the outside. And you can see in that double window, there is a garage space. So that is our covered parking here at the Mead. So it's close to covered parking, but yet it's in a beautiful location, private location. And see, there's a lot of sunlight, no curtains. Thanks, Sadie, no curtains. You're right. Keep the light coming in. And here's the beautiful kitchen. It has the leathered granite countertops, white cabinets, brand new stainless steel appliances. This is a corner unit, so it does have a kitchen window. Here is one of the bedrooms. There's 2 bedrooms, and the second bedroom can be used as an office or a den or a guest room. We have our primary bedroom here, and all of the flooring is the LVP flooring, which is, it's nice. It's one cohesive flooring. So It's great, no threshold changes. It's easy to clean and maintain. And the bathroom's been remodeled with this beautiful tile shower. And again, with the leather granite countertops, it's just lovely, brand new, perfect. And anyway, come see it in person on Friday, May 10th. We're taking reservations, and I look forward to seeing you there. All right, we'll sign off for on our program today. Thanks, everybody.